Mr. President, that has been what we've been discussing for over 2 years. Every time we have these killings, at the end of the day, everything was swept under the carpet. Mr. President, we cannot continue in this manner.
My motion is titled Urgent Need for the Federal Government to Deploy More Troops to Yelewata and other communities of Benue State to restore law and order. The Senate notes with deep concern the dastard attack on the peaceful community of Yelewata in Guma local government area of Benue State, which occurred on the night of 13 June 2025, resulting in the tragic killing of over 200 innocent civilians, including women and children. Also notes that this unprecedented, tragic genocidal massacre at Yelewata was executed in a systematic manner never known before in the history of these attacks. Further notes, the accounts by survivors and rights organizations, including Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, described the attacks as well coordinated and executed with impunity. Concerned that this massacre reflects a continued pattern of insecurity, targeted killings, and displacement of rural communities, which recently happened at Aondana and Naka towns, both of Gwe West local government area in Benue State, within the span of 1 month, from which 50 lives were lost. Alarmed by the lack of timely intervention by the security agencies, which may have prevented or mitigated the loss of lives and property during the attacks, laments the seeming inability of Benue State government to utilize the available huge security resources at its disposal to safeguard the people of Benue State.
And I represent Bauchi Central, Bauchi State. Mr. President, from the onset, on behalf of the people of Bauchi Central, we extend our profound condolences to the people of Benue State and in particular, Yelewata. Mr. President, let me also commend my younger brother for seeing it fit to bring this motion even after the president visited this scene. Mr. President, I personally would like to place a record in commending the president for finding time at that critical time, in that critical juncture, to avail himself the physical appearance and looking at happenings in Benue and its environs. Mr. President, the killing in Yelewata is pure terrorism, pure genocidal activity. And the president went there and promptly raised questions, even as he was received by the chief. And the president right there raised the question to the Inspector General of Police. IG, over 200 people massacred, are not even arrested. Mr. President, that has been what we've been discussing for over 2 years. Every time we have these killings, at the end of the day, everything was swept under the carpet. Mr. President, we cannot continue in this manner. And I'm sure for some of our colleagues that have also listened to the chief, you listened to the chief who made a very clear reference to what is happening in Benue. You equally listened to the governor who also made his own remarks. And between the comments of the chief and that of the governor, you could see a lot of lacuna. And consequently, therefore, there is no way, Mr. President, the leadership of a state will have such serious discrepancies when they are living in that state. I am not going to point fingers at who is wrong or who is right. But the fact of the matter, the political leadership of Benue must come together and address this problem. Mr. President, I just went to my house in Kaduna. The son of one of my workers, whom I had paid school fees in January, went to Yelwata from University of Agriculture, Bakodi, and he was killed. And I met the father waiting for me to give him transfer fare to go and take his son for burial from the mortuary. This is the story that we've been devil. Young men, most of those killed young men at their prime, over 200. Now, we sit down here and believe, and we do have committees. We do have national security, we do have army, we do have air force, we have police, we have this and that. Mr. President, we cannot sit here and allow the president to do his job and do ours. Our job, after what happened in Yelwata, was to have our people on the ground asking questions. Because questions have been raised, and more questions have been raised. There is no way 200 people will just perish at a go. And then the perpetrators will just vanish. Are they angels? Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Whether they are Nigerians, whether they are Cameroonians, whether they are herders, whether they are chief militias. Mr. President, it's our duty. It's the duty of the legislature to have a combined force to be in Yelwata. Yes, the president didn't go to Yelwata. And going forward, there should have been no limit to where the president should go. Whether bad roads, whether insecurity, the president as a commander-in-chief, those minded should make sure the president would have been there. But he was in Plateau, and that was in Benue. That was really commendable. He has shown exemplary leadership, and he has begun to go everywhere. Now, how do we partner with him? What do we do? I know we'll be incapacitated as a parliament. There is no way we'll go to Yelwata without a chopper. Now, do we have money to hire a chopper? That is one. The security agencies that are supposed to supervise, when the president raised this issue to the Inspector General of Police, is there no arrest? From the Inspector General of Police, now you take it to the Commissioner of Police. Commissioner of Police, no arrest. Commissioner of Police, also DPO, no arrest. And from there, you find those people who are liable. We cannot continue, even though our servicemen have been killed left, right, and center. But we must ask questions. And this chamber must be able to equip, get more people to these services. Today, as I woke up, 20 soldiers were alleged to have been killed today. And they got killed almost on a daily basis. And when they got killed, who comes out, who takes care of their family? So there are things I think a legislative body like ours should be able to be equipped in getting some answers and in getting resolved, in making sure all these contracts spending everywhere, the first and foremost, most important thing is security. If there is no security, what are you going to do with the money? Well, there is no promise of tomorrow. So I think, Mr. President, I thank them for this culture. And this is a very serious thing, particularly as it affects our committee that supervises security agencies. I'm a member of the Police Affairs. I wouldn't mind, Mr. President, if tomorrow I'm in the team to go to Yelwata. I'm ready. And that's how we must sacrifice. Thank you, Mr. President.
Follow Ibrahim. I represent Ondo South. Let me fundamentally engage discussion in this matter. But before then, let me thank the Senate as a body for approving security summits in this plenary. Mr. Senate President, when matters are like this, we have to discuss them. And as a matter of fact that we have a security summit coming up in this in the country, organized by the Senate, is very, very fundamental. And I think even the embodiment of the whole submission of my learned brother, distinguished Senator Zam, who had explained the incident in Benue, could be distilled into the security summit. Let me note two observations. One, it is fundamental to note that where there is no Leviathan, life will be short and brutal. But in Benue, we have the Leviathan, and it's very worrisome that in the face of the Leviathan in Benue, life of people are short and brutish. And I think this is completely unacceptable. So it is my own submission that the Senate as a body must look at Thomas Hobbes' thesis of the imperativeness of Leviathan. When there is no Leviathan, life will be short. But in Benue, we have the Leviathan, we have the hegemonic leaders in Benue, yet life is brutish. And I think we need to go into the structure, the apparatus of security in Benue, and come up with some restructuring. It's not about deployment of military men and whatever alone. It is that we must use technology. And I'll be emphasizing this at the floor of the plenary, that the dimension of security policing and monitoring must change. It must fundamentally engage in, and we must deploy fundamental sophisticated equipment that technology devices into management and monitoring of security. We can never do less. We cannot continue to, be in pains or share interminable inquests over the mistake of the past. Some of them are useful in the historical context to teach us the way forward. And I think the way forward, as far as I'm concerned, is that this Senate, the 10th Senate, has taken fundamental step. One, to organize a security summit. And I think the leader of the Senate, Senator Dele, is actually the chairman of this ad hoc committee. With due respect to my brother, my very lovely brother, Senator Ekpeon, there may no need to set up another ad hoc committee on this, because we already have an ad hoc committee that engage on the security summit. And the last time we talked about security committee here, we were very unanimous that if issues like this, we need to discuss them. One thing I know is that the security man that man your gates in the house knows much about security of your home, much more than yourself, who is the hegemon there. We can't be hegemonic in matters that concern life and property. We just have to submit ourselves, to what is expected. Finally, Mr. Senate President, I also join my colleagues, Senator Ekpeon and Senator Nigi. I submit myself in totality to the visitation, of anywhere in Benue where life of men, are threatened. I want to go there. I want to visit there. I want to be personally involved. And I know my colleagues here also want. As a matter of fact, Mr. Senate President, I think we should even go there. It's not the president of Nigeria alone that should be going to all these places. When it happens, let us go there. What are we afraid of? Life is life. It can terminate today. It can continue tomorrow. It matters not. But whatever we do will remain in history. Mr. President, I decided to breach all security systems and go there physically. Let us also go there and submit ourselves so that we can move forward. But let me say finally, I commend Mr. Senate President for approving security summits. And with security summits being in place, being discussed by this Senate, it is very important that we are going to have solution, to security problem. Let distill fundamentally into various segments of Nigeria, the six geographical zone. Let the security summit go and collect data. Let us engage the people in Benue. Let's go there on visitation. Let's collect data. What is the reason for this? There are hegemonic leaders there. There are chiefs there. There are cabinets there. There is a government there. There is security apparatus there. There is structure there. There is governor there. Is the chief security officer. Yet, the lot of people are still short and brutish. This is completely unacceptable because we cannot be bringing that kind of distinct of inefficiency to Abuja and be calling on Mr. President every day to say, go and come to Benue. So I submit, with due respect to you, Mr. Senate President, that the security summit that this plenary has approved is the only fundamental solution, the only empirical evidence that can bring security to our country. We cannot afford to live in insecurity to understand security. Thank you very much, Mr. Senate
Thank you for watching. Please click on the subscribe button. Bye.